Right, AP people, welcome to part 2 of chapter 28. We're going to start part 2 with Henry Ford. Pretty much one of the most influential people to ever live. Maybe not the nicest guy, maybe not the best kind of person, but his inventions and his industry, so important to American manufacturing. The moving assembly line, the affordable car, the payment of his, $5 per day, more than doubles the average worker's wage. Totally influential guy. So the Model T, something to really pay attention to. The Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, another event here where, industrialism and completely unregulated business, does not pay dividends here. The Triangle Shirtwaist Company in New York, these girls who die in sweatshop conditions because of that fire at that Triangle Shirtwaist Company, kills 146 of them. This is a direct result of the ILGWU, the International Lady Garment Workers Union's walkout. I believe it's the year before in 1910. It might have even been in 1909. But because of the success of that walkout, the owners of this company locked the doors from the outside. And so there was no way for these girls who were locked indoors to get out when the fire hits this building. And tons of them unnecessarily die. So this is really an influential event, and it's going to do a lot of stuff for workplace safety in the future, including why we have fire drills at school and why school doors don't really ever lock from the inside. Okay? From the outside. Earth control. This is something that's big from Teddy Roosevelt's administration. He is a huge conservationist. And, the Forest Reserve Act in 1891 is going to be able to give the president power to set aside public forests as national parks and, conservation areas. And this is the beginning of the national park system. All right. This is also a huge trend in the progressive era to start to curb the damage to the environment that rapid, unregulated industrialism does. And so, people who are progressive in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they're going to start to become obsessed with conserving and preserving nature. And those are two different things. So make sure that you understand the difference. Conservation is going to be using natural resources wisely so that you don't use them to the point where they run out. And then preservation is going to be just flat out leaving natural resources alone so they are completely untouched and preserved for future generations. All right. So, the book example that is maybe the one that stands out the most is the Hetch Hetchy Valley. Within Yosemite National Park, this valley, which was described as a cathedral, by John Muir, this valley was going to be allowed to be flooded for the water needs of the city of San Francisco. And, so along with the establishment of the National Park Service, the Hetch Hetchy Valley, this is kind of a failure to protect this area. But it was done, it was flooded so that, San Francisco would have enough water to use. You have this idea of multiple use resource management in chapter 28, and that's going to be kind of what the government does every time they try to conserve an area or preserve it. They're going to be looking to do one or more of these four things. They're going to try to preserve and conserve areas providing recreation, maybe sustainable logging, water protection and watershed protection, summer stock grazing. So they're going to try to use federal lands and still get something out of them. All right. So pay attention to some of these things, especially when you get into the 1930s and some of the public works projects that are done in the Great Depression. These four things, and more really, are going to be tried to be done by the government. All right. There's a panic in 1907. It's blamed on Teddy Roosevelt. There's a total financial mess on Wall Street. The conservative interpretation is that all of this progressive, mumbo jumbo that TR is going to be behind and his progressive party are going to cause the financial crisis. Roosevelt's interpretation of this event is that his initiatives are slowed down enough that that conservatives in Congress really caused it because they slowed down his ideas. And banking reform, we're going to get the Aldrich-Wieland Act in 1908, and that's to help, flood the market with enough money to kind of, shock its system and get its heartbeat going back in, or priming the pump is another way to phrase it. But that's, getting the banks involved in getting enough money out to the public to get the economy going again. At the end of TR's term in 1908, he is going to leave office, and he's going to choose his successor, William Howard Taft. And he's going to try to pick Taft because he thinks Taft is a guy that he can manipulate while no longer being president, but still, having, a vast amount of influence within the presidency, within government, even though he's not president anymore. And it turns out that Taft is not going to be kind of a puppet of Teddy Roosevelt. He's not going to command and lead the Republican Party like Roosevelt thinks he should, or the way Roosevelt did. And he's not going to be a good judge of public opinion. He's going to say some things that he shouldn't have. And it's going to lead to a lot of criticism by Roosevelt of his successor later on. All right. A big deal with Taft is going to be the idea of dollar diplomacy, that instead of sending troops or getting involved in, imperialism outright, that you could just send investment to do the job that maybe the military would do, all right? And that could further political interests abroad that the United States would want to have. So we would choose some strategically important areas around the world to invest in, and hope that our dollars would do the job that our sons would do, all right? There's mention of, sorry about the bell there. There's mention of our investment in China and financing of railways in 1909. We're going to spread this dollar diplomacy policy to Haiti, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And this is still something that the United States does to a great extent today. Taft is going to end up angering Teddy Roosevelt by not following his orders very well. And then TR will then decide to get back into the ring, run for president yet again in 1912. He's going to create his own political party. He's going to famously call it the Bull Moose Party. And the Republicans are going to choose to stay with, Taft as the incumbent. So Teddy Roosevelt will, awkwardly run against Taft in 1912. Okay, so Taft is going to awkwardly be forced to run against Teddy Roosevelt in the election of 1912, and Teddy Roosevelt, creating his own political party, the Bull Moose Party, will then effectively split the Republican Party, and those people who would vote Republican, are going to be divided amongst the two political parties, and that will then give a plurality to the Democratic candidate, Woodrow Wilson, who will win in both 1912 and then yet again in 1916. So this is going to pave the way, Teddy Roosevelt's running in 1912 will then pave the way for the Democrats to win the presidency in that year, all right? Things to look up for next time, take a look, the Neil Reynolds Report, that's going to be in 1906, the Clayton Antitrust Act in 1914, and then the court case Hammer versus Dagenhart, 1918, and then this phrase, take the beam out of your own eye, that was mentioned in the reading, and we'll take a look at what that means. So, all right, AP people, thank you for your time and your attention, and in a nutshell, I think those are the most important ideas there in Chapter 28. Yeah, hope you guys are doing great. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.